What happened?
So the baby's in my arms. Aldridge and the male officer that is still unknown, I don't know his name still, and Holly Musser are standing right here yanking my son from my arms. I'm pulling back with all my might, trying to keep my son in my arms from these strangers, these invaders that didn't tell me who they were, anything. They finally detached my son from my arm, and as that happened, I'm yanked down onto the floor, and I'm pulled back around into the kitchen area. And then I'm sitting here like this, and they're just grabbing my arms and yanking. And I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? And Sandra Aldridge comes from front, and she tries to grab my wrist, and I move it like this, and it slips out of her hand. She looks at me in this, what just happened? They said, well, right at that moment is Holly Musser right here on my left-hand side. They were already pulling on my arms. I had bruises all over my arms. But she grabs me from the back of my neck, slams me down onto the ground, and then she proceeds to push my neck over my arm, my head. It's flat against the ground, constricting more air out of my airways. The male officer then slams his knee down onto my back, and both of my arms are restrained on my side by Aldridge. So until I'm screaming, until my air is completely out of my body, you can hear me screaming, please, you're trying to kill me, please stop choking me, I cannot breathe. And she said, she didn't say anything until I completely went limp, my body went completely limp, and then I woke up from being unconscious, and the first thing I did was took in a deep breath, and I said, you just tried to kill me. And I did not move from the ground. I had my face still flat against the ground, laying there, limp, my entire body, and I said, you just tried to kill me. At that moment, she laughed at me, and she had this huge smile on her face, and she goes, you're fine. Obviously, for the grace of God, I woke up from this happening, but there's a lot of people that, even recently, within this last month, that same strangulation, expert strangulation, broke a boy's neck. That exact same way that pushing the head over top of the arm. I'm a military-trained professional, right? I never was trained that extra put the face beyond the arm, constricting more air from your airway. I just can't. And then she arrested my hands behind my back before I was able to get up, and then they offered to help me stand up, and I got up on my own, and then they had me sit on the stool in my kitchen for about 10 minutes while they waited for an ambulance to arrive. I don't know who called the ambulance, but she escorted me out the door to the ambulance, and in front of my children, as my child is crying in my aunt's arms, I had my arms behind my back, and he's crying, reaching for me. I couldn't reach back to him, so I just kissed his face a couple times, and I said to my aunt, take care of my boy. And she said, I will, most definitely. And then I was continued to escort to the ambulance. At the ambulance is when Holly Musser said that she saw red marks on my neck. Right after she had strangled me and all types of stuff was going on, yanking my arms around and stuff. My arms were still behind my back, so she's taking pictures of my neck while I'm standing there, and the ambulance is getting ready to put me into the ambulance and take me to the hospital. And she goes, oh, no, she's not going anywhere. She's being detained. And they said, well, what are we here for then?
Musser said that?
Yes, Holly Musser, 1408. She stated that she needed them to check my lungs and my airways for constriction. And that was from her strangling me. And I stated, because she beat me up and strangled me. So the paramedics at that time began to take my heart rate. They listened for my lungs, and they also tried to take my blood pressure. They couldn't get a blood pressure reading on me until I was able to put my arm up on my hip and rest, because my heart rate and everything was just so erratic. They couldn't actually get a reading on me. So they took it about 5 times until they got a reading that said, okay, you're fine. And then she said, all right, she's good, she can breathe, her airways are not constricted, okay. And then they proceeded to put me into the copper. And take me to jail.
Do you have the proof that Calais County was still going on, your court case up there for the driving license, the driving license?
I have the continuance of hearing in my email that I submitted the continuance of hearing. I did not receive a warrant for that arrest until I was released from Talos County Jail. Then they served me my warrant.
Yeah, we saw that one in the paperwork.
So that's all that I have.
Yeah, that's a very curious warrant.
It's
because
very
Get us a copy if you could when you can get back. I'm still worried about you guys. It looks like, closer look at this, the